guys, it's Terry with Good Dog Coaching and Pet Care, and today I just wanted to share with you why I love a prong collar. Okay, what a prong collar is you might not know, or sometimes called a pinch collar, but a prong collar this is a prong collar, all right? And let's just get it out there. It looks like a medieval torture device, right? I get it, it does. But the way that this works, the physics of how it's designed and how it works, is such that it's really the best collar, again, in my opinion, and a lot of dog trainers and dog owners' opinion. It's really the best collar for working a dog, training a dog, walking a dog. I use this with my dog. She's 15 and a half years old, and whenever we're out in public, you know, walking, or if I'm trying to teach her something new, this is the collar that is on her. So really, this is the collar, the only collar that I use, other than a backup collar, and I'll get into that. But so the different from other types of collars, okay? So for example, this is a flat collar, right? It's just a standard flat dog collar. This one happens to have a buckle on it, but you know, a lot of them have the snap clip type of closure on it. This is one of my dog's collars. This is the collar that I put on her that just holds her name tag. You know, it's got her ID tags, that's it. Then there's also a martingale. Okay, this happens to be a chain martingale. A martingale, you know, that has the collar part that's just like a flat collar, and then it has this chain action, which this is where the leash attaches, and so that this is actually what I use for a backup collar on my dog. I actually attach the prong collar to it, and I'll show you that. But this is where the leash, or I'm sorry, this is where I attach a carabiner from the prong collar to this as my backup collar. That way, if the prong collar comes open in any way, it's rare, but it happens sometimes, that I'm still attached to my dog. Okay, but the way this one works is if there were a leash attached here and I pulled or the dog pulls, it tightens around their neck. So I actually prefer, if someone's not going to use a prong collar, this would be my next preferred collar, because as probably most of you know, a regular flat collar, if your dog pulls or you pull, it gaps and it can come off of their head, okay? This, because it tightens, it can't come off their head, all right? So it's really a safer backup. And then there's also, you know, a slip leash, right? Which is the one that on the dog's neck, you pull, they pull, it tightens, right? But all of these, the flat, the slip, the martingale, a harness, I don't have a harness here because I don't use harnesses. Any of those, when they are on your dog, and if you have a leash attached to them, or in the case of a slip leash, it's all in one, right? If you pull or they pull, all the pressure is on one point. And typically, if your dog's not trained, right, they're pulling ahead of you, so all the pressure is right here, which is why you get that right sound from your dog, and you're thinking, my dog, why is he doing that? He's choking himself, right? It's important to know that dogs have a reflex called oppositional reflex, and it's a reflex. Just as if I were to come up to you and, you know, hit your knee with that little rubber mallet in that special spot, your leg would go up. You can't help it. It's a reflex, right? Dogs have what's called oppositional reflex, and in this case, if they've got a collar or a harness, something that's flat against them, and they're pulling for any length of time, that reflex kicks in, which is why they push against it, okay? So in the case of these types of tools, collars or tools, all the pressure is concentrated on the front of their throat, on their esophagus, which, just like us, there's not much padding there at all, right? So you get that choking sound. That's not to say they can't pull on a prong collar, because they can. But with a prong collar, with this prong collar, the difference is, again, the way that the physics of this is designed is that when you pull or they pull, the pressure is dispersed evenly around the entire neck. which means less pressure overall on the dog. That's the most important. But you'll also notice it in your hand, so to speak, because when you go to direct the dog where you need to direct them when you're teaching them, they don't feel remotely as strong as they feel when they're, pulling at the end of one of these, right? Or even one of these. So, or these. Again, most importantly, best for the dog because it puts the least amount of pressure on the dog. Now, maybe your dog doesn't pull, right? But if you need to direct your dog in any way, you're going to be using the leash, which means you're going to be pulling on the dog, right? And when we're teaching dogs, when we're beginning, we're training the dog, we're teaching them new things, we use leash guidance, right? We're directing them in different ways with the leash. So, of course, we want to use whatever puts the least amount of pressure on the dog, and that is this, okay? Again, if you can get past the scary part, the fact that it looks scary, and the information, maybe negative information you might have heard or seen or whatever on the internet or whatever. Oftentimes that information is from people who've not used one, don't know how it works, or they've used one improperly. Okay, and there's a proper way to fit it and to use it just as any tool. Okay, so again, this is a prong collar. This is their Herm Sprenger, Herm Sprenger, Sprenger. And again, this is a 2.25 millimeter. It's what we use on all the dogs, really. This is just a standard one. And then the way this goes on and off is by opening up a prong, putting it around your dog's neck, and then putting those prongs back together. Okay, super simple. I'm gonna post another video about something new that makes it easier to get this on and off, because there is also it's called a snap quick release prong collar, okay, which is what we used to use. This is for my dog, and I still use it just because it's what we have. But I'm going to share with you another quick video about the next step from this, basically. In other words, making it easier to get on and off. So anyway, again, just wanted to share that with you. One more thing. I talked about a backup collar, right? Whenever I have, whenever I'm taking my dog out and she's got her prong collar on, this is the part where the leash attaches, okay? It's a swivel. Just think swivel, and your leash clip swivels. You put the swivel to the swivel. That's where the leash attaches. You also have an O-ring down here. This actually fits flat against the dog's neck, okay? The reason why it's called an O-ring is it looks like an O, okay? Same here. This is the same thing. Do you see the O-ring? Right there. All right. So it's rare, but a prong can come open. A dog can, these are not easy to get apart, but it can come open. Maybe the dog, somehow gets it to come open. Again, rare, but just in case. One of my favorite sayings is we plan for chaos in the hopes that chaos never happens, okay? So whenever have my dog out in public, I'm going to take a carabiner, attach it to that O-ring, okay? Remember, this is where the leash attaches on the swivel, okay? The O-ring is down here. So it's flat against the dog's neck, and then I've got the carabiner attached to that. And then I would use, for my backup collar, I use a martingale. So this actually goes on her first, and then the prong is at the top, okay? Prong collar should always be up at the top. It should be fitted snug and up high, not hanging down like jewelry around your dog's neck, okay? That is not how it's meant to be worn. Snug and up high. There's a saying, if it feels too tight, it's probably just right, okay? So anyway, if this is your dog's head, this goes on first, and then, I'm going to slip it on, but you would actually open up the prong, put it around your dog's neck, and then put the prongs back together, okay? And then I would attach the O-ring on my martingale to that carabiner that we attached to the O-ring on the prong, okay? So it would look like this. Okay, so you got that. And that is so, if this were, somebody's trying to get food out of my bag back here. Hey. That is so that this, we pull this forward so that this doesn't get twisted in any way. All right, we pull the leash part forward, and then we have the O-ring, the carabiner, and the O-ring. All right, so if this comes open in any way, let's just clip a leash on here, okay? Pretend my arm is bigger than it is, right? I'm gonna open this prong collar. All right. So let's pretend this is on the dog, okay? And then somehow the prong collar comes open. I am still attached to the dog. Do you see that? Okay. Backup collar. Whenever you are using a prong collar, make sure you have a backup collar, and preferably something like this, like a martingale, that you have adjusted. My dog, you know, is a pit bull. She's got a pretty big neck, right? So that you have adjusted so that when you do pull on it, that it tightens tight enough that it won't come off their head, because you can see this has an adjustable part, so you can adjust it bigger, you know, looser or tighter. So anyway, always, because the time that you don't is going to be when life happens, and that's going to be the time that the prong collar is going to open. All right, again, rare, but don't take any chances. You don't want to lose your dog or have your dog, you know, whatever. There's so many things that could happen, right? So it only takes a second to slip on a martingale and then clip it to your prong. Okay, so again, I hope that this has dispelled some ugly myths about prong collars. They're not horrible. They're not devices of torture. When used properly and fitted properly, and they're awesome. In my opinion, again, best collar ever, because they put the least amount of pressure on a dog. If you can get past how they look, I mean, it doesn't bother me, but some people it bothers how they look. By the way, they also make, again, these are not sharp. They're rounded. They're machined and rounded, so they're not pointy. But they do make, some dogs are sensitive, have really sensitive skin, especially like, pitties that have not a lot of fur here or whatever. They do make little rubber covers that you can put on there. Okay, that's fine. Little rubber covers are just fine to put on there. If your dog gets some kind of like irritation or something. They also make these in different types of metal, right? Because some dogs are allergic to, they make them in stainless steel. This is actually a chrome. They make stainless steel. They make this Kurgan metal, so that are more like hypoallergenic. But we found most of the dogs are fine with this, okay? So every once in a while we get one that needs the little rubber covers on them just because they don't have a lot of fur there, and they're, might have a metal allergy or something. So, but anyway, again, 2.25 millimeter, that's the most important. If your dog has a bigger neck than this, again, this is, I think, a 16-inch. Yeah, this is 16-inch collar. They make them in longer lengths, or you can buy extra prongs to make it longer to fit a bigger dog's neck. All right, so feel free to post in the comments section if you have questions about this, and we love to hear your feedback, even if it doesn't match mine. That's okay. We can agree to disagree. That's fine. All right, so again, Terry Hansen with Good Dog Coaching and Pet Care. Hope this helped you out. Take care.